everybody, welcome back to another video. I have a retro review for you guys today over something that was voted on Instagram. There's going to be 3 videos of these, but they are from the Clone Wars micro series cartoon. A couple of stylized figures that I've bought and kept in package for quite a while now. And this actually spawned from I was reorganizing my 3 3/4 inch figures and kind of thought that maybe I'd like to include these guys because I have all versions of the Clone Wars and all my other animated stylesque figures, loose and posed in there. And so I took a poll on Instagram and the opening won, and so here we are doing these videos. And so I have 3 of them, as you'll see them, progressively go up as normal videos. But the first one we're reviewing today is Count Dooku. He was my very first Star Wars Clone Wars micro series figure. And a little bit about this. They initially came out on Cartoon Network and I think released online, so I had heard, and I got them through a DVD. My dad bought them. There's season 1 and a season 2, and I don't really think they made any figures for the season 2. I'll have to go and look, but what I'm going to do now is I'll definitely start grabbing these more to pick up and review. I'd always put them off because they're just really bulky inside the package. The packaging, in my opinion, looks fantastic, but having the figures out, I think will be exciting. They obviously are really limited on their posing, and so just keep that in mind. We'll go into that in further detail, but the Star Wars Clone Wars micro series was written by the guy who did Samurai Jack, and I loved that series as a kid, and so I was really excited for the animation style. This particular figure I happened to pick up. It was the first time my mom helped me track down a toy shop in I was living in Texas at the time, and it was several cities over in what was called Wiley, Texas, and it was this place that was advertising a huge Star Wars collection for sale. And you could come in and look and buy and whatnot. And so we went, and I came really without any money, and I'd never seen these guys before, and so I wanted this Count Dooku really badly. And I mean, I was only probably 11, I think, 11, 12. And so I bought him and kept him in the package, which is pretty unusual for me at the time, and I've always kept him in the package just because I thought it looked really unique and I didn't have any other figures, and so I wanted to kind of display it. I obviously had known about the micro series, I'd watched it all by then, and so I was really excited to find this guy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review. As you can tell, the box I think looks really nice. It does have a display for Cartoon Network here back in the days before everything Star Wars was Disney. You also get this clone trooper on the side there, and I've always really liked the way that the helmet came into the peg hook. I always have thought that was really cool. And then it says Star Wars there, and then the Clone Wars micro series version of the Clone Wars. Unpopular opinion, I personally like the Clone Wars better than the animated. Well, it originally was on the Cartoon Network as well, but the popular Star Wars: The Clone Wars. I like the micro series the best. You can see Count Dooku in red here, and a nice animated version of Count Dooku right here. On the back, you've kind of got some red, a pop of red, a good image of the character there, and a biography about him, as well as the other figures in the wave, some of which I have. So you'll see them as we come up. But let's go ahead and open this guy up and we'll take a look. I'm really excited. First Clone Wars micro series figure I've ever reviewed. Obviously one I've had the longest too, so let's crack into it. I also did want to mention that the back of the package has an explosion behind it, so that looks kind of cool. But onto the figure. This is Count Dooku out of the package, and I think it's pretty agreeable to say that he looks really cool. Very, very unique in terms of a Star Wars figure. So I was actually really surprised when I opened this figure to find that it came with a stand. This stand is really cool. It says Star Wars Clone Wars on it. It's really big though, unfortunately, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to display these on my 3 3/4 inch shelf just because they are so bulky. Hopefully he'll stand on his own, but I thought that was super cool. It's really thin too, so I appreciate that, but very cool stand. Okay, so here is Count Dooku, and he looks very good. There's not a whole lot that Hasbro can go wrong with these figures because they're so simple in terms of the drawing. They're just very uniquely shaped. Count Dooku's head is super tiny. It's like a cylinder. It is so funny, but it does move. It moves back and forth. This was in 2003, these set of figures, so it kind of gives you a time frame for the type of articulation we have. But I don't know if you can tell, but Count Dooku has different shades of hair color on his head, which kind of gives him that graying look. It looks really good. Very animated features. And then, of course, his cape is sculpted onto his torso in a posed kind of wind taken. It's got some movement to it, is what I'm trying to say. That looks decent. The lightsaber, it can come out of his hand, I believe. There we go. And it is also very, very simple. There's no real detail on the hilt, just very stylized. You can definitely tell it's Count Dooku's lightsaber, but very stylized to go, again, with the theming of this. Again, I'm really happy that they made figures for these. Some people might disagree with opening them. It kind of takes away from their coolness because they're now out of package and they don't have a lot of posability, but I think just for the pure aesthetic look, especially when I'm going to put it in the same shelf with the Clone Wars animated, I really wanted to have the Micro Series animated figures. They also have a realistic style. I've reviewed some before. My Yoda one, I think, was the most recent one I did for the realistic Clone Wars. And some of those take from the Clone Wars animated show and the Micro Series, both different. So anyways, he's got some black and red accents and kind of a burgundy or like dark brown kind of cape. His torso moves in the center there. His head moves, like I mentioned earlier. His arms move. They do have rotation, though it doesn't look like it can go all the way around. And then this arm just swivels, so you can swivel right there and there. And so there's not a whole lot of movement that you can do. Luckily, these guys come posed already, so that's what we're banking on. So yeah, that's basically it. Let me see if he sits up. I'm just testing it on the desk where I'm recording. He does stand, but his feet actually are not even on the ground, which is actually really disappointing. He kind of cants forward when he stands, so I'll have to play around with it. I've got 2 other figures in this line that I would like to display with my figures, and so we'll see what we can do. But I definitely like that they included the stand, though it is a little bit big. But yeah, so let me know what you think about this figure, guys. The first Clone Wars Micro Series figure I have reviewed. I really like the style of these, despite the lack of articulation. But it is 2003 at this point, so that these came out, and I think that it pays really good homage to the Clone Wars Micro Series shows. And if you haven't seen them, I definitely recommend checking them out. They are so good. And so, anyways, guys, thank you as always for watching my videos, and have a fantastic day. Bye.